Got it.
Good morning, Julien, and welcome to our conversation.
Good morning, Raphael.
Today we'll explore the journey that led you from Paris to the streets of Brooklyn. But first things first, your recent Picto opening in Brooklyn that regrettably I missed. Tell us something about it, please.
We just moved to Brooklyn in June, in a new space where we have on one side the production part, which is the historical part of Picto, producing fine art prints. And on the other side of this space, we have a beautiful gallery where we are showcasing two exhibitions. One from Jean-Pierre Lafont and the other one from Ismail Ferdows, who recently won the Leica Award.
So you had a big party?
We had a big party. We have a big party. Yes, we had more than 300 people here. It was a big success. Very happy.
So you had both a party and the opening of the new Picto gallery. You were celebrating the move from the Lower East Side to Brooklyn.
Absolutely. It was on September 22nd, and it was very successful. We had a lot of people. A lot of people enjoyed the show, the new space. We had a piano concert with a singer. It was a really nice night.
So you had two events in one.
Yeah, we had two events in one. Celebration, the move, the exhibition, and also to promote this beautiful piano we're partnering with Alpange. It's a French piano brand, and so we have one beautiful piano here in the showroom, in the gallery.
Two events in one. That's a lot to handle, even for a Frenchman.
Right. It was a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Did you expect such a large turnout with personalities and all that? And did a lot of them take the ferry from Manhattan to get there? Because I understand it's easier, as I experienced it, to use the ferry from Manhattan to get there. Did a lot of them do that?
Yeah, we're in Clinton Hill next to the Navy Yard. So to come from Manhattan, either you need to commute with the subway, or you can take the ferry, and the ferry is like we have a ferry station like 8 minute walks from the office, so it's very convenient. So, but yeah, I was surprised that so many people came, and people from the French diplomacy were there. We had many big names of photography. I don't want to drop names like this, but it was very interesting.
So the gallery, are you hiring anyone to run it? Because it's a complex operation. I know that Picto in Paris already has its own gallery, I think. Am I correct?
No, Picto in Paris doesn't have a gallery, and this is a very new activity. I actually created a new company called Squadra, and Squadra I created it in partnership with Emmanuel Barbeau, who's a lawyer, art lawyer, and Carla de la Mata. She's the founder of Photographize. Photographize is a massive photo media. And we started this new company a year ago, and the idea is to curate both emerging and very recognized talents of photography, and display and showcase some series at the gallery here and online. But the use of the gallery space at Picto will be shared between Squadra and other different events. It can be private events, it can be workshops, it can be gathering parties.
So when people come into the Picto space, and as they come out of the elevator, there's this gallery that welcomes them. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're starting with these two shows from Jean-Pierre Lafont, with a focus on Ali versus Frazier, Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier match
The
from
famous
71 to
boxing
70.
match. Yes.
Exactly, the fights of the centuries.
Yes.
So Jean-Pierre was there in 71 and 74, and he took incredible pictures of Ali, of Frazier, but also of all the people. We have a beautiful wallpaper showing all the crowd of the people going to see the match. And there's Isaac Hayes, the famous musician from Shaft. There's also Frank Lucas, who was the most famous drug dealer of the 70s, and Jean-Pierre took an incredible photo of Frank Lucas with his fur
Fur
jacket,
coat. Yes.
fur coat, and the story says that the CIA got an eye on him because of this coat. Because before that he was under the radar, and then he bought this fur coat for $150,000, something like this. And this is how, CIA got an eye on him, and this is how he got caught, actually.
So tell me, how did you handle things during the move? Did you keep on printing, or did you stop? What did you do?
Oh, we only stopped for a day, actually.
One day.
Yeah. Uh, we could move, in a very short period of time. So we made sure that we could still printing until the very last moment, and stop printing, just moving the machine and being effective and operative again, like the next day. So the production didn't really stop.
That's really quite a feat, because these machines are huge.
Yeah, these machines
you
are
have more
huge.
than one.
They don't go through the elevator, so it's yeah,
Yes.
can be complicated.
So how did this relocation affect you personally beyond the business aspect? You must have gone through a few things.
Personally, the
Yeah.
move to Brooklyn from of Pictou to Brooklyn. I mean, before we were in the Lower East Side, next to Chinatown. It was a nice place, very convenient, because a lot of galleries and artists are downtown
Yes.
Manhattan.
Including ICP. Yeah.
Including we were right next to ICP.
Yes.
And so I was a little concerned on the business side that, people wouldn't, follow and come to Brooklyn, but actually they do. So in terms of business, it didn't affect us. I would say even the contrary, because we are getting now a lot of people from Brooklyn that didn't used to go to the Manhattan location. So we are not affected at all, in terms of location by
Business is not affected.
business is not affected.
You
And
get a lot of photographers from Brooklyn coming to you now?
yeah, there's tons of photographers in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, in Bushwick, in Greenpoint. And so, for them coming to Clinton Hill, to Brooklyn, next to the Navy Yard, is even easier than going to Manhattan. So yes, we're getting a lot. And personally, I live in Brooklyn, so I take my bike and I ride for 15
You
minutes.
jump on your bicycle and you're there.
Exactly. So it's very convenient.
So, Julien, take us back to your childhood for a moment in Perpignan.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the early experiences or influences that you believe have shaped the person that you are today?
It's a good question. I was born and raised in Perpignan, so it's not a big town, and in a humble family, and I was passionate by drawing. I was a good student, I would say, and I was spending a lot of time drawing. I was passionate about design. I wanted to be a car designer, so I always had an attraction for beautiful things in general. And then I couldn't afford these car design studies. So I went to graphic design, and I moved to Toulouse. I studied graphic design in Toulouse, and then I started working as a graphic designer for different companies. And one day I mean, do you want me to go over my
No. Just
studies, or?
give us a sense of it. Yeah.
But the sense of it, I mean, who I am today is, I mean, I got a lot of love from my parents, um, and my mother is a very curious person, so I think I inherited this from her as well, and my big inspiration was my grandfather. My grandfather used to run a company that he created he was building machines to make wine.
Yes.
So the machines of my grandfather is on all over the world. Where you have wine, you probably have some old machines of my grandfather helping to produce wine. And my grandfather was, very driven and very caring, and he worked hard all his life to um, just to be able to how do you say mettre à l'abri his family, taking care of his family, basically.
Yes. So, the name Alamo in the United States has a very special meaning, but you were not born in America, so
No.
we inherited that name from somewhere else, from Spain, I believe. Am I correct?
Spain. Spain. Yeah. Both parents are the families are originally from Spain. And Alamo means poplar, peuplier.
Poplar.
It's a tree.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's clear your grandfather played a major role in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a particular memory or a piece of wisdom that has had a lasting impact on you that came from your grandfather?
Um, my grandfather was traveling a lot, and he was the only one in the family traveling. And every time he was coming back from, Australia, South Africa, California, Argentina, Chile, he was coming back with little gifts. So I have, a lot of little statues, little souvenirs.
You got a lot of souvenirs
Yeah. So,
that he
being,
brought back. Did he bring them back for you?
yeah, for me and for my brother. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, we were, as I said, a humble family, and so we were not traveling a lot. My grandfather was the only one traveling at this time. We were just doing, some car trips in France or Spain. But I mean, I took my first plane. I was 12, I think. My first flight. So, every time I was seeing my grandfather coming back from these countries, I was like kind of,
Excited.
dreaming and very excited, and then
Inspired.
and very inspired. But it was almost something that in my mind I could never reach, being able to travel, having a company, and yeah, I was fantasizing, I think.
So where did that passion for design come from? I mean, do you remember the precise moment where you became aware and conscious that had that particular pull on you?
Uh, So, I mean, to get back to my grandfather, he used to love cars. He always had this very big Citroën, Citroën DS, Citroën CX, Citroën XM. There was like very excited by this car. So I think I started being excited by car design at first, when I was little, and then into drawing in general. But I think, yeah, I think the origin can be the first cars of my grandfather.
So Picto New York has seen substantial revenue growth. And beyond the numbers, what emotions and personal feelings does this success evoke in you? And do you share that with your staff? Do they feel that they are part of all this business development?
Yeah, I mean, working for Picto is kind of a blessing because it's a company with such a big history in photography, a big role in
Yes, they're
photography.
very significant in France.
Yeah, and when I opened Picto in New York, I tried to leverage this history. I did an exhibition in 2021
Yes.
about the 70th anniversary of Picto, for the 70th anniversary of Picto, showing so in order to position Picto in the US and to make people understand what Picto is, I chose the angle of the collaboration between Magnum Photos and Picto, which started
Magnum
actually,
photos, Magnum
yeah.
photos, yeah.
And the collaboration actually started even before Magnum and Picto, because in the late 30s, Pierre Gassman was in Montparnasse in Paris. He ran from Germany to Paris
I,
in the 30s. And he met Robert Capa and Cartier-Bresson, and they became very, very close. And since
uh,
the late 30s, Pierre Gassman was printing, for example, the Falling Soldier, the very famous Falling Soldier of Capa was printed in 38 by Pierre Gassman. So it's a story that started, way before Magnum Photos, because Magnum has been founded in 47 and Picto in 1950. And so we carry with Picto this history of legendary photographers and legendary pictures we've been printing. And so I wanted to show to the American audience, this collaboration and who we are. Um, and and for my team, it's always something very exciting for them to be part of this company. And
this continuity.
exactly, and we're very happy because we're still working with Magnum. We have very good relationship with them in New York. We know all the team. They are, some of them are very close friends. So we continue this collaboration with
Yes.
Magnum and with many other photographers, galleries,
Yeah.
museums.
Yeah. So, what's the range of services that Picto offers in New York? What are you best known for? And which service that you offer brings in most of the business for you?
Mhm. So we offer full service of full fine art services. I mean, it comes from scanning, retouching, to printing, obviously. And then we mount, we frame, we can do installation as well. But we've best known for our printing. I think what makes the difference between Picto here and some of the labs is that the photographer or the gallery or the artist can come here, spend time with us. Whatever your budget is, if you're coming for one print or one massive exhibition, we're gonna take the time to talk to you, to open your files, to make sure that your files are good for printing, check if we need some adjustments or some retouching before printing. So this is, I think, what we are best known for is the care we are bringing to your work and to your pictures.
It's a super personalized service, and in photography, it's really important because we photographers are always unsure and a little insecure about the files we have and how it should be printed and so on and so forth. So teaming up with a highly experienced crew like Picto can be really important.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really convinced that that's the main difference we have with some competitors. Is the time we spend with you, with the artist, to make sure everything was going to be perfect.
So that trust also carries over in that part of your business, which is where the client orders prints sight unseen over the wires, over the phone, by email. So they must have a great deal of trust in you, because they're not going to know what they're getting until they open the package when
Exactly.
they receive it, right?
Exactly. I mean, we for every order we're getting, whether it's online, through email, through the phone. I mean, if the photographer cannot come and check the print before it's delivered, we know what we do. so we're gonna make sure that the print is looks good.
Yeah, but it's printing or the quality of a print is a very subjective thing. So photographers really want to take a look at the print before you ship it and before they okay it, I imagine.
Yeah, most of them. But after a certain time, they just give us a picture, and if we know them and if they trust us, at some point that they don't have to come, every time to review the print, because it's either a photo that we already printed, or they trust us enough and we know them enough to know what they expect from us, or what they expect from the print.
Do they send you match prints sometimes?
It happens.
So you match the print that they send you.
Yeah. And that's also something very interesting, the fact that we are in New York and in Paris, and we use the same machines, the same ink sets, the same profiles. So if you print something in Paris, and if you choose the same papers, we can match this. But yes, I mean, to answer your question, is some of them, they come with some proofs, either from other labs or proof that they're printing themselves, and then we can work from there.
Because as we all know, the brand of paper, the ink, the machine, the brand of the machine, whether you're using an Epson or a Canon, all these things have an impact on the final appearance of a print. So it's very tricky, and some people are specific about what they want.
Yeah, but I would say the what has more impact is the way you prepare your file.
Yes, that's very important, of course. But that's function of the paper and the printer you're using also.
Yeah. Also.
Yeah. So does Picto fit the 80-20 model? Means, do you do 80% of your business with 20% of your clients? Do most of your business is most of your business repeat business with a core clientele?
That's a good question. We have some recurring clients, some photographers giving us a lot of work, some galleries giving us a lot of work, some institutions as well. I could say the French Institute, for example, have been a big client for us for the last years, because we've been printing automatically all the exhibition of the.
So they set up art exhibits there at the l'Alliance Française.
Yeah. Especially since Tatiana Frank took over. It was in March 2022, I think. And Tatiana, she was running the Musée de l'Élysée in Lausanne. So she brought back a lot of photography exhibitions at the French Institute. Very interesting exhibitions we've been working on, with the Anonymous project, for example, was a massive exhibition with Lee Schulman. So Lee Schulman started the Anonymous project a few years ago by collecting tons of films, mostly from the 50s to the 70s, 80s, I think, and is curating tons of pictures and putting together exhibitions all over the world. And we had a massive exhibition in the French Institute with thousands of prints and also big wallpapers covering all the elevators and the wall of every floor of the French Institute. It was
That's a
very,
huge job.
it was a huge job, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me something, Julien. A critical part of your business is using people who know what they're doing, and producing museum quality prints requires very special skills and exquisitely trained eyes. Uh, what do you look for, and what do you insist upon before you hire anyone to print for Picto?
It's tricky because there's no specific training for fine art printing. So most of the printers are actually photographers or former photographers.
Ah, really?
That's the case in Paris.
Ah,
Uh, in Paris, you have people like Fred Jourda, Perram, Christophe Batifoulier. They're also very good photographers.
yeah.
And artists themselves. And
That's interesting. Hmm.
here in New York, I have two master printers. Ana Vallejo. Ana, she's a very talented photographer, and she learned printing here with me. I mean, she learned printing at ICP first, but I mean, she extended her skill here at Picto with me and with Frankie. So Frankie Del Valle. Frankie is in the business. He's been like more than 25 years, and he learned from the best in New York. First darkroom printing, and then digital printing. And he used to print all Nan Goldin, for example. I mean,
And Golden,
yeah, he printed for a lot of very important
well-known
people,
photographers.
right? And Frankie joined us almost 3 years now ago, and he brought all his skills. We also sent him to Paris for a few days, to meet with the printers in Paris, and it was so interesting to share the experience. So Frankie is a great asset, and he's been training Anna a lot, and is the one training the new people we are hiring.
Do printers in New York communicate with printers in Paris? Is there a confrérie going on between the two
Yeah.
groups? There is?
I mean, when we sent Frank to Paris, I mean, I know he enjoyed a lot spending time with Bati, with Christophe Batifoulier in Paris, and with the other printers. Yeah, it's funny because I mean, even though we are, we do the same job. Culturally, it's always a little bit different, and maybe the way we work in France and the way we work in New York will be a little bit different. So it's always
Yeah,
very
photographic trends are not the same in
no,
Europe and here.
exactly.
Europe. So, do you offer C printing, meaning traditional wet printing, like when I started as a photographer, that's all we did, or do you just scan everything?
So we don't do C print in the
Don't
US.
do C printing.
In France, we do this a lot still.
Yes.
In the US, we decided to focus on the inkjet because it's true that it's more sustainable actually, because when you do C print, you use a lot of chemicals, and then you
Yes.
need to filter
Yes.
the chemicals. The equipment is kind of heavy, takes a lot of space.
Very time consuming also.
It's also time consuming. I mean, inkjet it's much more flexible, and it's been a few years now that inkjet became better than C print in terms of color range, in terms of conservation, in terms of durability, and also inkjet is super interesting in terms of papers, because in C print you're limited to the RC papers or fiber papers if you do black and white, but in inkjet you have these RC papers like the classic luster paper, semi-matte, glossy paper, but then you also have all these beautiful fine art papers, the cotton-based fine art papers, the Barita papers. And you can also print on clear film. You can also print on canvas. I mean, there are tons of options that you can explore with inkjet. And recently, we also acquired, when we moved to Brooklyn, we also acquired a eco-solvent machine. So this is a very high quality inkjet printer, and we use it mostly for wallpapers. So we do more and more exhibitions, mixing traditional prints in frames and wallpapers on photographic wallpapers.
What's interesting is that about what you're saying is that digital printing is doing a lot of things that we couldn't do with the wet printing, because you can interfere much more with the file, adjust the files, the colors, the contrast. You can extend things. There are a lot of things that you can do with digital printing that you could do then. And what that brings up for me is that the technology is changing the look and feel of the art itself. So it has an impact on what photography looks like today. And you can when you look at published photographs, you can tell which were printed then and which were printed now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it reminds me of a story. One of the first show I've printed in New York for the French Institute was with Raymond Depardon. And Raymond
Depardon, yeah.
Yeah. And Raymond Depardon was doing a series. It was kind of a revival of a series he's done in 81 called Correspondance New-Yorkaise. At the time, he did it with Libération. And he was shooting right before the election of François Mitterrand in 81. He came to New York and he was shooting every day one picture in New York, in the US. And this picture was published the next day in Libération. And so every day for 10 days in Libération, you had a picture of Raymond Depardon with a caption, quite a long caption actually. And it was
kind of New York, that is, right? A picture of New York.
Yes, it was a picture of New York. And it was kind of a diary of Raymond Depardon, a journal, a daily journal of Raymond Depardon, about how he was, feeling what was happening in France at this time from New York. And François Ebel convinced him to do this again in 2017, right before the election of Macron. So Raymond came and he did the same process as he did in 81. So he was shooting every day for 10 days. And then we had to work on the image and send it to Libération for it to be published the next day. And after these 10 days, we printed all the images for an exhibition at the Alliance Française. And it was prints like they were like 1 meter by 1.2 meters, 100 par 120 centimeters. So quite large images and very detailed, because Raymond was using his large format camera to take the pictures. And I remember during the opening, there was Robert Pledge, so the founder of Contact agency. Robert is more or less the same age as Raymond Depardon. And Robert came to me and he was like, "Did you print this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I don't like your prints. They are too clean, too sharp." And it's true that when you compare, the old prints of 81 of Raymond, and they were like small prints at the time, and the print that we can do today using, high definition scanning and very high resolution files with, our prints, so they can print like 2500 DPI.
Yeah, so, the look and feel is different. The gradations are different. The way
very
blend into one another, shadows and highlights and all that. Yeah. And, during a visit at your earlier location on the Lower East Side, I came to Picto to chat with you. And I watched one of your clients supervised the printing of one of his images. There may have been more than one, but and you were there to coordinate between the client and the printer, I remember. And it was interesting to me because I wanted to ask you what percentage, we discussed that before, well, what percentage of your custom printing clients shows up at Picto and attends the printing of their own work, usually?
I would say half. Half of them.
50% of them.
Yeah,
Even
50%.
though, even those who have done a lot of work with you before, some of them still show up and are there during the printing.
I think they like coming here
Yeah, for the coffee, they come for the
for the
coffee.
coffee, for the coffee, for the chit chat, for, it's also a place where artists meet between
Yes,
themselves.
yes.
So often I had, I don't know, Jean-Pierre Lafont was there while Andrew Prokost was there. And so they had to meet and to chat. And, this happens a lot here, as I know it happens also in Paris. So I think they also come here to get this experience. And, but, they often come because they need to sign the prints as well.
Ah, yes, before you ship them.
So it's not necessarily for, to review and to adjust the printing, which most of the time is totally fine. But they come to sign as well.
So tell me something. How was it for you to come to New York and start a complex new business from scratch? Did you have deep pockets when you started? Did you know anyone? Did you have a plan? Do you enjoy diving into the unknown head first?
Yeah, I mean, since I was a student, I've never lived abroad before, and this is
What?
I've never lived in another country than
Oh,
France
you never lived abroad, yeah.
before moving to New York, and this is really something I really wanted to experience. Um, so it has been challenging because nobody was waiting for Picto to make beautiful prints in New York. So when we started, we didn't have deep pockets in the sense where, Picto is a family business. We don't have like investors and massive money to put in the launch of a subsidiary as Picto New York. So we started very humble in a small office. At first, we partnered with a local lab, and but quickly we moved and we bought a first machine to be able to print ourselves and to manage ourselves for our clientele. So I would say that it started very organically. It started a lot with the French community because a lot of, the French community in New York is around 80,000 people. It's kind of huge. And so my first clients were mostly French or European photographers. And little by little, word of mouth, the American people came, and then we started working with galleries, then institutions, then, since last May, we've been printing for MoMA, the new photography show at MoMA. It's a big photography show that they do every year. So we've been printing the last one. So it's been growing naturally, organically. But yeah, it's very exciting, challenging, a lot of work, a lot of network. uh, but the French community helped a lot, with the French Institute, with the French founders, with the French American Chamber of Commerce at first, and also the French diplomacy has been also helpful. So yeah, I'm very thankful to all these people who helped us.
So
And
you started with very few means, really.
Yeah, very few means.
I'd like to read you a quote. It's by Edward Teller, who's known as the father of the hydrogen bomb. He was a scientist. And he said, faith, when it's time to step into the darkness of the unknown, faith is knowing that one of two things shall happen. Either you will be given something solid to stand on, or you will be taught to fly. And I remember this quote because, like many, I came to the US with nothing more than hope in my heart. And does that ring a bell for you?
Totally, totally. I mean, I was lucky to also to come with Picto. So in terms of risk, I would say I was very lucky because, you know, if it doesn't work, I could still go back to Paris and still working for Picto. So I don't think it was, you know, a very risky adventure,
Yes.
affair. But still, to make it work and to make it happen, it was, yeah, luck, but a lot of work, a lot
Yeah.
of work.
And all
And
eyes were on you. I mean, there was a lot of weight put on your shoulders, though, for this thing to happen.
yeah, on my shoulders, and I also have Edouard Bisley. Edouard is a childhood friend of Philippe Gassman, the French
Oh,
CEO.
yeah.
And Edouard was already here in New York, and he helped us a lot to launch the company and to manage the company with me at the beginning. And he is still around to help me. But now the weight is shared between, you know, me and my team, and I'm very thankful, because they are. I have a great team, great people.
And you get involved in community initiatives like the Bowery Mission, and that indicates a strong sense of social responsibility on your part. Please tell us a bit about that and about the personal values which drive your commitment to giving back to the community.
um, I think this is also one of the reasons I really love working at Picto for Picto, is because of the history of Picto I was telling you about, like earlier, the fact that Pierre Gassman and all this Magnum community were very progressive people. They were caring and humanist people, and this is a value. These are values I have since I'm a child, and when COVID happened in 2020, we had to shut down everything, and after 3 weeks, you know, doing nothing because we could not even open the office and running the machines, etc. I was like, we cannot continue like this. I cannot do, you know, nothing. uh, and uh, and a few months before, a client who became a friend of mine uh, printed for in benefits for the Bowery mission, and I didn't know anything about the Bowery mission before, and then I learned that the Bowery is the oldest shelter in New York, and taking care of the homeless people. And during COVID, they were serving, you know, usually before COVID, they were serving maybe 400 meals a day. And during COVID, it went to 1,300. It was massive. And we were in the Lower East Side, very close to Bowery, actually. So we could see in the streets.
Yes, right in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, let's why not trying to make a print cell for the Bowery mission? So I woke up on a Saturday on a weekend, and I started, you know, working on a website, and I put 40 images of my primary cycle of photographers or friends, and at 2 a.m. the same day the website was ready. working, the buying process was working, everything was working. So at 2 a.m. I started reaching out every photographer, telling them, look, I had this idea. Would you be okay to give me one print, one image that I'm gonna, offer for a print sale, and all the benefits will go to the Bowery mission. And so they all said yes. All of them, the 40 of them, they said yes. And then I reached out to my secondary circle, and we ended up having 112 photographers, and they all gave one picture, and we raised $50,000 in 1 month that
Amazing.
we gave to the Bowery mission. And this didn't bring money to Picto. That was not the goal,
Yes.
but it gave Picto New York a lot of exposure.
Yes.
And many people, knew about us
It
because
also
of
said what Picto was about, really, besides the business aspect.
yeah.
Embedded Picto in a way in the minds of
Yeah.
people.
I mean, it was beautiful to see, this community, all these artists willing to help and to do something all together. And so it brought a lot of attention to Picto. And from May, June, I was starting, to print again, because I've had so much exposure that, people were asking me for, new prints, new production. So it actually helped us a lot to navigate through COVID. Um, and yeah, and when, many companies were losing a lot of money in 2020, we actually didn't lose money, and we made a little bit of profit. And I think it's because of this operation. And we're still very concerned and engaged in all the association and everything we can do to help. I had a meeting 3 days ago with an association promoting art from prisoners or from former prisoners.
I think you told me about it.
Yeah, so I'm talking with them, and we are planning on doing an exhibition in spring, probably here at Picto, gathering art, photography, and also painting drawings of prisoners and former prisoners. So still looking for sense in what we're doing.
So looking ahead, what personal aspirations do you have for Picto New York in the future? How do you envision it impacting your life and those around you in a deeper, more human level? Do you have projections of what Picto New York is going in the future?
I mean, we are looking at, producing more and more exhibitions and more beautiful work and body of works from many artists. The direction is to maybe try to work with even more. Sorry, I'm looking for my words. Now the direction I envision is to be able to still doing beautiful work, working even closely with artists, with the organizations we work with, grow community around Picto, doing more workshops. We hosted a workshop like a month and a half ago with Paolo Verzone from Nat Geo, and it was a very interesting workshop about lights. And I had like 20 photographers here for a weekend following this workshop. We had 2 photo editors during the workshop here doing portfolio reviews for every photographer. So this is also a way that I want to continue the activity here by growing this kind of workshop, atelier. So yeah, more production, more workshops, more events.
And more socially sensitive projects, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. So there's this project with this association for former prisoners. I'm also working for another NGO who specialized into diversity in photography. So this is the kind of stuff we want to continue to explore.
So you are collecting a huge amount of other people's digital files for your work.
Yeah.
How about security, file corruption, updating, upgrading, storing, and all that boring technical stuff that is so important to the integrity of your operation and the integrity of other people's work?
Yeah.
Who does that? Do you have a particular focus and emphasis on that? That's a huge responsibility, really.
It is, but you know, as a photo lab, we are not supposed to keep the files.
Ah,
So everything you send, is going to be, you know, the files are going to be destroyed, unless you're asking us to keep the files because you're printing, you know,
repeatedly. Yeah.
repeatedly with us. So this is the case for some artists, and for this artist, we keep, you know, these copies in you know, hard drives with a redundant archival system.
Yes.
So, but again, we're not supposed to be storing you know, and archiving the files. We only do this for some clients when they ask us to do so. Otherwise, you know, if you're sending me your file to print, once the print is done, maybe a week or two after, we're gonna delete your file.
It gets deleted.
Yeah. We don't keep them. We don't have the right to keep them.
Okay. Do you send out notices to artists telling them that their file is going to be deleted in 48 hours or so?
I mean, most of them they don't ask, but if they do, this is what we say, and this is what we do. We usually we keep the files for a few weeks, just in case, you know, there's been an issue with the shipping, for example, and we need to reprint it or something like this.
Yes.
But it's rare.
Listen, you have a high-end operation there, and in high-end operations like yours, everything tends to look super clean, perfect, surgical even. But do some projects sometimes go wrong? Does something unpredictable or unforeseen happen? Have you had any experiences like that?
Of course. It's craftsman.
What?
It's craftsmanship. It's craftsmanship. So it's a human,
Yes.
human error. You know, can always happen.
But did you ever have to scrap a project because of that?
No, this never happened. This never happened. Now, sometimes when you know you have a very, very short deadline and you need to rush the printing, and then you need to rush your mounting and framing. Actually, the issue I could have were mostly on the mounting and framing process. So today we don't have this in house, so we use two vendors two partners for framing. But you know, it can happen when you rush people too much. You can have bad surprise. But what's good is that being in New York and having also the framing partners in New York, if something happened, you know, the same day or the next day it fixed. So we are very reactive in terms of fixing potential issues.
Okay. So, is after everything you've told me so far, Is Picto Paris very bullish on Picto New York?
Oh, so
And
Philippe
by
was.
you, of course.
Yeah. No, I mean they're happy. I think they're happy. Philippe was here with his son Victor, so Philippe Gassman, CEO of Picto, and his son Victor, General Secretary of Picto Paris. So they came here for the opening end of September, and so we could spend a lot of time here together. And then, no, I think they really like what we've done in 7 years, and I know that there is if there is any issue, they'll be here to support. But so far, everything is going well. um, and we try to expand also the collaborations between Paris and New York. So we have some clients, printing with us in New York and then framing in France because it's for an exhibition in Paris or in south of France. So we do this a lot and more and more.
Tell me something, Julien. Is Picto New York your very special baby?
It is. It is my baby.
Yeah.
I came to New York for this project, and it's been my life for the last 7 years. So now I'm launching also Squadra in complement, but it is complementary to Picto because I mean Squadra is maybe 10% of my time versus Picto. But it's bringing it's bringing people here, it's bringing attention to this space and to the production. So I think it's very complementary.
But besides you, is there anyone else that works on the gallery aspect of things?
I mean, I have my two partners, Emmanuel and Carla, and they're helping me a lot. Uh, and that's it. And sometime my team here can take over if there is any need, but it's mostly me.
So before ending this conversation, I'd like to encourage everyone who's been watching it to scroll down and discover the many gorgeous images that Julien and Picto are contributing to this interview. They are images that were printed by Picto for Magnum over the years. So if you've been watching and following this conversation, please scroll down. And thanks a lot, Julien, for being so candid and so accessible and for allowing us to enter or to have a peek into the inner workings and the plans for the future for Picto. So thank you so
much. And feel free to stop by to our new space. So we're on 77 Washington Avenue in Brooklyn. So feel free to stop by to see the shows we have on our walls, and feel free to get back to us if you need any prints.
Yes, and I'll take the ferry this time.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you so much.
Take care, Julien.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.